Instead of addressing the crisis at hand, Senate Democrats are talking up some nutso scheme to jam through the Senate immigration bill, even though they know it will never happen. And I'll say it one more time. The House will not take up the Senate immigration reform bill or accept it back from the Senate in any fashion, including in this border bill. Nor will we accept any attempt to add other immigration reform issues or anything like it, including the DREAM Act, to the House's border bill. Any attempt to exploit this crisis and these kids by adding such measures are going to run into a brick wall here in the People's House.
Before they whisked their way out of the nation's capital last week, escaping might be the best word we could use, senators dropped a hotly contested immigration package on the president's desk, knowing full well there's as much chance of him signing it into law as there is rocker Ted Nugent announcing a series of albums featuring his take on the hits of Melissa Etheridge or Lady Gaga. Wango Tango would never be the same again. So where do we go from here? Welcome to MidPoint. From the DRM Action Coalition, a lobbying group seeking changes in immigration policy and law, Cesar Vargas and Executive Director of the Conservative Hispanic Society and talk show host on the Blaze Network, Chris Salcedo, joins us. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're going to go ahead and start out right now with a note from Senator Marco Rubio. Now, this is Rubio on the Fox News Sunday program speaking to Chris Wallace, saying that Congress has to find a new process because the one that's here right now is not going to work, but they have to find a new process in order to pass comprehensive immigration reform. Here's his interview.
Our choices are we can either continue to beat our head against the wall and try a process for which we'll never have the support, or we can try another way that perhaps we can make progress on.
All right, Cesar, I'm going to start with you first. What's wrong with what he said? Everybody's in there's certainly those who say that he's flip-flopping, he's changed his mind, but is he right?
Well, one of the things that we are seeing Senator Rubio is being very, very careful what he says on immigration, especially as we approach the Iowa caucus. We're seeing already, for example, today, Senator Rand Paul in Iowa. So I think Senator Rubio does have a point in terms of making sure that we work with the Senate, with the House first, and then kind of deal overall with the Senate politics on immigration as we move forward in 2015, 2016, or beyond. But I do think Senator Rubio is really, really particularly conscious of the politics, even though he doesn't say that, because he does have presidential ambitions that he doesn't want to really sit into his overall agenda. So we got to be a little bit careful, to read into the politics of Senator Rubio.
How about it, Chris? Just looking forward to 2016 and covering himself as well as he can?
Well, maybe, but I also think we ought to be leery of this whole idea of comprehensive immigration reform. Let's be frank. Both leaders of both political parties have lost all credibility, lost all trust with the American people on doing anything like this. The last thing we need with a problem that has been an ongoing problem for the better part of 5 decades to solve it is another Obamacare-like type piece of legislation. We need to have an approach that restores faith with the American government, with we the people. And so we must take this step by step as we reform legal immigration and put a stop to illegal immigration.
But Chris, how do we do that? Because we're always looking at Band-Aid approaches here as we go on, things that fix a little and fix a little and fix a little more. And it seems as if the American people are tired of that, not only in immigration, but in so many other things that we face. So if we're going to continue just to take that piecemeal, how can we really hope to get anything done that's substantial and lasts?
I never like the term piecemeal. What we have to do is we have to have it segmented in such a way to where when one objective is accomplished, it triggers the next objective. The whole idea of doing it piecemeal it's got a bad rap. If you do it so you make sure you restore trust with the American people, which is right now at a huge deficit, you'll be able to make something that's real, something that's verifiable, and that takes place and is to the benefit of the United States of America. If you do it with this comprehensive bill, like Obamacare-like bill, like that abomination that's sitting in the Senate right now, nothing will get done that's accomplished the American people want, which is a reformed legal immigration system and an end to illegal immigration.
Cesar, to you next. Can you segment this, or does it have to be done all in one big shot?
Yeah, and that's something I do agree with Chris in the sense that comprehensively, we have seen over and over fail. This is like the 4th attempt that Congress and Senate has tried to do over the past decade. However, I do want to say that and this is mostly for Republicans and to ensure that Democrats work this together, but we need to have like perhaps incrementals where we, Republicans are, no one's opposed to border security. However, all immigration, as a lawyer myself, immigration is so interconnected with so many issues that you cannot just do one and then leave the others for the next month or that next one. So the way I see is having a border security package, something that handles the immediate crisis, and then connecting that with legalization components for people who are undocumented, because the majority is that 40% of people who are here with no papers or undocumented came here legally first. So all this thing about illegal immigration, well, the majority of people here in this country who have no documents are legally came to the U.S. and their visa expired. So that's what I'm saying. It's about making sure we have a small package, but also including packages that in an instance, regularizes the status of millions of people, and then connecting that with border security. And then you move forward with the visa, then you move forward with agriculture. So I think it's about handling the immediate crisis, which is the border and the people in here, and then moving to agriculture, then moving to tech, to ensure that we handle the most immediate needs that Chris said. The American people don't have trust in Democrats or Republicans, because they're just bickering around and playing games.
Okay, so let me see. Hang on. I'm going to stop you for a sec. Let me see if I've got you right, because there are three things here that I think we need to focus on if you're going to address border security, modernizing the immigration system, dealing with the immigrants who are in the country illegally. So out of those three, and those three only right now, if I put those to you, Cesar, you're saying that the first thing is border security, right?
No, see, that's the thing. It has to come together.
But what would be the first thing? We have to start somewhere. So let's start somewhere out of those three. Where do we start?
And that's the point, right? That's why we have failed, because it's always what's first. It has to come. Those two components have to come together, because those two systems are so interconnected together, very linked, that if one goes first, the other one doesn't work, and vice versa. So those two components have to come first.
Which two components? Which two?
Legalization and border security.
Okay, let me stop you there right now. Let me go. First of all, Chris, do you agree with that?
No, not legalization. What should happen first is reformation and security. Reformation of the legal immigration code to update our legal immigration code out of the 1950s into the 21st century, while simultaneously doing border security. After that is completed, those two steps, they can happen simultaneously. Once that's done, once the American people have confidence once again in the American government to do something for a change, then we start dealing with the 12 to 20 million illegal immigrants, depending on which survey you believe, who are already here in the United States of America. And mind you, none of this has anything to do with this crisis right now that's going on the southern border, which, again, immigration and illegal immigration has been a problem in the United States for many, many decades. But as is most things in the era of Obama, problems have turned into full-blown crises here with Mr. Obama and his team.
All right, Chris, I'm going to start with you. 2 minutes left. What does the president do now? Where will we see him go next?
Mr. Obama has no desire to see anything done on this issue. As a matter of fact, he's poisoned the well. Because of his handling of this, Mr. Obama has guaranteed that there will be no accommodation. There will be no needed immigration reform. Again, notice what I said as a conservative. We need legal immigration reform, and we need to have security at that border. Mr. Obama, I suspect, as a favor to the big unions here in the United States, has made sure that the whole debate is poisoned, because he has chosen, again, to let a problem develop into a full-blown humanitarian crisis on that southern border with this latest influx from Central America.
Cesar, that end of the summer is coming when the president's people say he's going to do something. Same question to you then. What does he do? What do you expect him to do?
Yeah, well, simply the president is addressing what I think Chris mentioned. We don't have trust in Congress. So he is taking action because Congress has failed to reform our immigration system. And I'll just tell personally, myself, I'm undocumented. I came here when I was 5 years old. Half of the rest of my family are citizens, but my mother is not. And my other family who are U.S. citizens, my nephews who are citizens, this is a situation that happens across the country. Families being separated because of a broken immigration system. So we hope the president does take action to keep families together. And in Iowa, I'm here in Iowa, and Christian Republicans are saying we need to reform our immigration system. And it doesn't matter whether it comes from president or Congress. We just need to get a solution now. And I think the president is addressing that at this moment.
Cesar Vargas, Chris Salcedo, I want to thank you both for joining us. We're all out of time, gentlemen. We're going to come back and do it again because I guarantee you this one's going to go on for some time. Thanks again, guys.
Thanks so much for having us.
All right, we are going to have to discuss this even more in depth because, hey, look, as I tell you a lot of times with things like this, it's really just getting started. Later on this hour, is the Internal Revenue Service making deals with atheists to go after the Catholic Church? And next up, we're going to check the mothership website, Newsmax.com, for the latest headlines. Of course, what is happening now? That Washington is all empty. Everybody's gone on vacation. The president sits there with the pen right now. And of course, in a very serious vein, what is happening in America right now? Because Ebola has come to American shores. And a lot of people are very concerned. We'll answer these questions and a lot more on MidPoint, where we question everything.